Hey everyone, it's Cameron from Stocksplaining. We're just going to take a look at some charts and then we're also going to go over the CPI probabilities and scenarios for tomorrow. So we do have the March CPI data coming out. It's expected to be a lot worse uh, than the previous reading. And not only that, we also have some White House officials actually coming out and saying it's gonna be worse than expected. So I think that definitely spooked markets a little bit today. Bears had pretty robust control, and we weren't really able to see bulls make any meaningful moves. So we're also going to take a look at support and resistance levels for the broader market. And then we're going to talk about scenarios. So, could we see a bounce tomorrow? Are we going to see maybe another leg down? We'll go ahead and cover all of that. So, we're just going to jump right into it. I'm going to try not to ramble. I want to keep this video pretty brief and concise and just give you guys the most important information needed. Okay, so first up, we have the S&P 500. And today we gapped down and we were slowly able to kind of regain a little bit of lost territory, but we actually didn't fill the gap, and then we just flushed completely lower. Markets are definitely on edge for tomorrow because the CPI reading, as we mentioned before, is going to be pretty terrible. I think it's an expected value of like 8.4. And if we look, our previous CPI reading was 7.9%. So I'm thinking we're probably going to see, 8.3, 8.2, maybe we even see 8.5. It's going to be right around this ballpark, but I don't think it's going to make a pretty significant difference in how the markets are going to react. I think it's largely priced in. And, everyone knows that oil and gas prices have been absolutely, going through the roof. So at this point, I think today was kind of the reaction, but tomorrow could just be a trap. And I'll show you guys why I'm also kind of leaning bullish. So this S&P 500 SPY ETF, we are currently testing this daily 50 SMA level, and we made a low of 439.39. That's the support level I'm watching tomorrow. If we break this level, then I think we could see a test of probably 435.81. That would be the next support level. But the reason why I'm kind of leaning bullish for tomorrow is we had this gap down. And if you remember, on March 29th, we actually had a gap up, and that was kind of the final flush. And then we just started moving lower. So I think many people were kind of expecting us to kind of stay around this 200 SMA level on the daily, and we ended up gapping down today. So it's entirely possible that tomorrow, CPI data is released. It's gonna be released at 8:30 a.m. EST, 5:30 a.m. for us in Pacific Standard Time, and it's entirely possible we see a retest of this daily 200 SMA. So we could see a push tomorrow and fill that gap and retest 448.35, and then we would just be looking for a lower high. I think that's the most likely scenario because again, I think a lot of the CPI data is already priced in. We already know it's going to be terrible, and markets had that knee jerk reaction today, and they sold off. So now I think this sentiment is already factored in. And our RSI on the daily has been following a pretty standard pattern. I mean, we have kind of bounces off of this kind of trend line. So tomorrow we could see another test of it. Maybe we see a test of this RSI and a test of the daily 200 SMA. And then, like I said, we could form this equilibrium, and then markets kind of decide, okay, are we going to push back up or are we going to move lower? And one thing to note, whenever you kind of have like these equilibriums, it's not necessarily a bad time to actually add to long-term convictions and plays, because if you do get that bull break, then you could see pretty significant FOMO come in, and that fear can turn into FOMO and turn into greed, and then that would be when you could slowly exit your positions and just kind of scale out. So definitely lots of opportunity there. QQQ was definitely a more significant move down. Um, If we go ahead and actually measure from our March 29th high, QQQ is down roughly 8.4%. That's pretty significant in the span of about 2 weeks. So I definitely think bears are a little bit exhausted here. We have two gaps to fill. Usually we do fill gaps, um, but our RSI is actually kind of approaching a key level here. So we can actually draw a little trend line here. And if our RSI tomorrow is able to hold around 41 and maybe 40 to 41, we could see a bounce in the short term, at least fill this gap, move back up to 349.33. Then it's going to be a question of, okay, are we going to be able to uh, make the push back up to maybe 353, 355, and then maybe we even fill the second gap at 358. But like I said, it's a very similar situation to the S&P 500. I think we could just be forming an equilibrium, and then we're going to have a uh, catalyst that will kind of propel us in either direction. We do have the May FOMC rate hike. It's coming. I think that's going to be the big event. So, this could kind of drag out kind of some of the price action, and we could just see some sideways movement. So, good opportunities for trading, good opportunities for long term accumulations for kind of your buy and holds. So, definitely something to consider. So again, if we are able to hold our low of today, and we did finish basically on the low, if we could hold 340 going into tomorrow, then I think the case is a lot stronger for a pushback to 349 to 350 daily 50 SMA. Now, if we just break right through this, I think it's entirely possible we see a test of probably 336, maybe even as low as 332. On the 4 hour, it's a pretty clear downtrend, pretty good waterfall, but we are getting a little overextended in my opinion. Our 4 hour RSI is the lowest it's been since, let's see. Yeah, I mean it's actually, I think it's even lower than it was during March 8th. So definitely bulls have some definitely bulls are gonna have to prove it, but I think bears are getting a little overextended here and a little greedy. So, if I was kind of shorting from March 29th and now, I think right now would not be a bad idea to kind of book profits, especially when you before an a major event like CPI getting released. IWM weekday. Look at this. I mean, clear double top right around 199.23. We mentioned that $200 natural support needing to hold. We were unable to, and so I think it's more likely tomorrow we could see a test of 195. But if SPY and QQQ are able to rally, then I think we could at least see a retest of 199 again. And if we are able to get some continuation, I think at least till its neckline, till we fill the gap, probably around 202, or at least until around 201 with our daily 50 SMA. So not a whole lot to say there, but again, similar situation. Bulls are just looking for lower highs, and bears are looking to short at these levels of resistance. So for the VIX, we are testing this daily 100 SMA, and I think we could see a move to 25.66. But you know, with CPI being released tomorrow, a lot of that anticipation is gonna disappear. I mean, it's the build up to the big news event. It could just be buy the rumor, sell the news, and we could see VIX pull back, even if we have a very elevated CPI rating like 8.6 or 8.5%. So not a whole lot to say here. Just keep an eye out for about 25.6. That's our daily 50 SMA resistance. Last time we tested this level was March 18th. Even looking at the 4 hour, you know, if we do break this 4 hour 100 SMA, our resistance is still around that 25 to 26 range. So I don't see us going a whole lot higher. I think the VIX is definitely going to have to cool off a little bit. RSI, though, on the daily is coming up to a level of resistance. So just be aware of that. If 56.39 is tested and not broken, then VIX will definitely see a pullback. Okay, so Bitcoin. I think tomorrow is going to be an important day for Bitcoin. We had BitCon going on during the last week, and there's some pretty important speakers and definitely some interesting, I guess, acts were performed, if you will. I mean, I think Max Kaiser was like burning, or like not burning. He was like shredding U.S. dollars. Kind of a little ridiculous, but I guess it's for the show. Um, we expected Bitcoin to see some, strong movement here. But what I do want to note is we are now testing the bottom of this support level. We had this kind of trend line drawn out from this uh, wedge here, or sorry, not wedge, from this pennant here. And we broke out, but we're unable to break 48, and we moved right back lower. I think that the lowest we could see is probably around 37,300 to 37,500. Um, Historically speaking, this is actually a good level for accumulation. I mean, it's not exact, right? I mean, we did have a drop to 34,000 briefly, but if you don't have a position in Bitcoin or you're looking to just kind of add more, I don't think this is a bad level to do it at all. I mean, you could take a small position here if it drops lower, going harder at 37, going harder at 34,000. I don't think we're going to retest 34,000. And right now, there's a lot of frustration because people are like, okay, CPI rating is probably going to come in. It's going to be atrocious tomorrow. Why is Bitcoin not moving and not behaving like an inflation hedge? And everyone can give a different answer for it. But what I will say is Bitcoin makes moves when you least expect it. So I don't think this is the phase where, you should give up and, capitulate. I think this is just one of the things where you're just gonna have to accumulate and know that you're playing the long game here. Bitcoin in its 13 years of existence has had far more green days than red. Um, so definitely during those red days, they were pretty bad, but people who accumulated, they are all up. I mean, 2017 is a perfect example. There were people who bought the very, very top of Bitcoin, and when it was what, like 17 or 21,000 or something like that, and they spent 2018 and 2019 and 2020 just dollar cost averaging, and Bitcoin made a low of I think 3,300, and every single one of those people is now up. I mean, even Bitcoin being down for the year or up, I think only like 9%. Um, I mean, it's holding up actually a lot better than, I mean, the broader stock market right now. So this is just one of those things that takes patience. Um, the likelihood of Bitcoin going up is much greater than going down. That's all I will say. But levels of support to watch again. Tomorrow, I think we want to see a hold of 39,246, or let's see, 39,218.15. So $39,218.15 is the level we want to see hold. If it doesn't, I think we're going to see a test of 37,365. We could see some wicks, so just kind of be aware of that. I would not set limit sell orders. I would only set limit buy orders. Okay, remember that. Only limit buy orders, not limit sell orders, because you could get wicked out and then you just see a massive move up and you get faked out and miss out on get those potential gains. So those are the two levels I'm watching. In terms of resistance, it's going to be right at 41,500. This week, I want to see us reclaim this daily 50 SMA. If we can do that and just hold them on this level, then I think we're going to be in a good position going forward, going into May and June. Now, the last thing I want to actually mention is there are quite a few individual names that are at some pretty insane discounts. I mean, you guys all know I'm a big fan of Coinbase. I mean, last time I think I mentioned Coinbase, it was like around $180, and I think at a like price to sales of like less than 8 and like a PE ratio of like 15. I mean, it's even lower now. I mean, leaps at this price, they look very, very appetizing. But then again, I'm a Bitcoin bull, so there's also that to factor in. So I guess that is my bias. But I mean, Coin is a good example. I think what's really interesting here is Square. So I don't know if you guys heard the news, but Kathy Wood actually dumped her position in PayPal and she went in all in on Square, or I should say Block. And the reason, I think one of the reasons she cited was Cash App, with half the number of users, I think, was making double the revenue. And also, I think just Block under Jack Dorsey just has a much clearer direction. They're looking at integrating payments with Lightning Network and, um, kind of really simplifying this payment system space and making it more accessible. It's a pretty clear mission. I think PayPal's still trying to figure out it's where it's relevant. But I mean, PayPal is still a cash machine, but definitely, I think Cash App has a lot more growth, and um, the team and leadership, I think, is much more robust, and they have that direction. They know what they want to do, and they're working very hard towards achieving those goals. I believe Shopify announced a stock split. That was pretty interesting. It's kind of fascinating because a lot of these names that are very high quality, I mean, Amazon, Google, Tesla, and Shopify announcing splits, I think definitely goes to show that even if a recession comes or there are, there's going to be more volatility in the stock market, these names have just so much growth that they will be able to weather, out harsher macroeconomic conditions much better than other companies. So I thought that was kind of interesting. So tomorrow, uh, I will probably not be trading. If I do, it's definitely going to be, just quick day trades. I don't think I'm comfortable establishing any swing positions just yet. Um, but yeah, definitely just going to keep an eye out for support and resistance levels. If I am going to trade, I don't think it's going to be uh, the ETFs. I think I'm probably going to stick to individual names. I think there's a lot of individual names that are great for, leaps or just taking long-term positions in. That's kind of where I'm at right now. I think you're going to have more success kind of with the long-term stuff rather than trying to time things. But I mean, if you are able to time things correctly, obviously your gains are going to be disproportionately uh, huge. So it'll all be interesting tomorrow. I wish you all the best of luck. If this video was helpful, I'd really appreciate if you could drop a like, subscribe, share with your friends or anyone who you think would benefit from this content. Definitely check us out on Instagram, Stock Splaining. And if you are interested in joining our Discord, it's free. Click on the link in the description below, and it should take you to our Launchpass page. If you are interested in getting our live alerts, buy sell alerts, then you can upgrade to a premium membership. So enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll see you all tomorrow. Take care.